Please welcome Tariq.
Thank you, Taz. Today what I want to do is to take you through some of the aspects of Basecamp managers. As new committee members, you're now responsible for managing your club through Basecamp. So what we want to do is to explore what that is. What I'm not going to do is to go through the generic aspects of pathways. That's been well and truly covered by all and sundry. There's lots of videos online. Here I've got a couple of my videos from King's Cross Speakers where I gave the presentation, and a webinar that I recorded as well in the early part of the year. Also on the District 91 website you've got pathways and materials there as well. And one of our District 91 members, Mark Wilshire from London Public Speakers, has taken on the mantle of being the Pathways champion, and he's been running a lot of seminars, and these have been put up online. And along with the webinars, he's also put on sort of tip sheets and shortcuts to various things, lots of tips and resources that you will find useful for going through Pathways as a whole. And so today, my purpose is to go through your role as a Basecamp manager. What resources are available to you online. Then we'll look at how to deal with pending requests as they come in. Then we'll walk through some of the dashboards, some of the charts that are available within Pathways Basecamp for you to run your club. And then we'll end with a Q&A session. Okay. We'll start off with a very simple multiple choice question. Who is a Basecamp manager? Raise your hand if you think it's all committee members. Okay, we have a couple of takers for that. If you think the committee can nominate its own Basecamp managers, raise your hands. Okay, we have another taker or a few takers for that one. President of the VPE. Okay, with some more takers. Okay, fantastic. Now you're left with a 50-50 chance. President, VPE, PR, and VPN, or the President, VPE, and the Club Secretary. Which one is it? 50-50. Yes, sir.
President, VP, and Secretary.
Correct. That's the correct answer. There's only one correct answer on the screen, and that is the VPE, the Club Secretary, and the President have the responsibility for managing Basecamp for the club. You can't nominate different people to take on your role. You are responsible, and the TMI would have already started using your names for this purpose. Okay, so what are the roles for Basecamp managers? First and foremost is to approve level requests. In Pathways, you can't move on to the next level until the previous level has been approved, and you've got your certificate to go with it. Then you'll have the education transcript for the next level open up to you. But you can't access that until the previous level has been approved. Once you as a Basecamp manager, once you approve that, you can print off the certificate and present that at the next meeting to your club member, which is a step up from the company communication manual. Because you could have been on that for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you wouldn't have got any recognition whatsoever. Here in Basecamp, as you complete the level, you can get recognized for that. A lot of exercises, a lot of these projects in Pathways, you can do outside of the club. You can do them outside of Toastmasters, networking events, web blogging, doing your speeches again after you've had feedback first time round. So you can go out and do those elsewhere. But to be able to do that, you need the approval from the Basecamp manager and notify them that that's what you're planning to do. So they're aware of it. In EasySpeak, if your club is using EasySpeak, it's very easy to track members' progress. All you have to do is to click on top, go to the club charts, communication charts, you can see what progress people have made. Or you can go down to the leadership chart and you can see what roles somebody needed to fulfill to complete whatever level they're on. In Pathways, it is separate. You have to go into Pathways, you have to go in through the dashboards to be able to access those reports. How do you get to Pathways? How do you get to Basecamp? That's your landing page. I hope you're all familiar with that. As you log in and you choose to access pathways, you get to your familiar page of pathways, which has got 3 tiles. Choose your path, access your path through Basecamp, and the navigator. And if you're a Basecamp manager, you will also have, down at the bottom here, the ability to log in as a Basecamp manager. Once you do that, you'll get to the next page, which has 3 simple tiles on it. Pending requests, member progress, and manager tutorials. Let's have a look at some of these in more detail.
Of Vice President Education, a President, or a Secretary, you will have the option to log into Basecamp as a Basecamp manager. And from there, once you've selected login as a Basecamp manager, it's going to bring you here. If you are a Vice President of Education, President, or Secretary in more than one club, you will need to indicate which club you are logging in as. And again, that just indicates which club you would like to interact with. So if you are a Vice President of Education in Club A and Club B, and you know that you need to approve education for members in Club B, you just need to make sure you indicate that you're logging in as Club B from the Toastmasters start page. And that can be changed on the start page at any time. So maybe I come here as a Basecamp manager and I approve a few things for Club B, and then I need to go and do it for Club A. All I'm going to do is select this button right here, visit the Pathways start page. We're not going to click it because we're in the test site, and the link won't work as it would on live, but I would click this link and it would take me back to the start page, and then I could switch to Club A and go in and approve things for Club A. Please keep in mind that only one club officer can access the Basecamp manager at a time. This is in order to prevent multiple club officers from attempting to approve the same education request at once. It is the VPE's primary responsibility to approve requests. The VPE President and Secretary will need to ensure that they have clear communication regarding who is logging in and who should be approving education. And when you do log into the Basecamp Manager homepage from the Pathway start page, it will give you a reminder about the fact that you can only have one club officer log in at a time.
Okay. So that's fairly straightforward. Any questions there? No? Okay, let's move on to looking at some of the resources. As always, there's a lot of resources that have been built into the system. And we'll have a look at some of these. Sorry, technology has failed.
So how does the Basecamp manager learn about their role? There are tutorials and resources that are specific to the Basecamp manager role, and they can access these from the Basecamp manager homepage. So again, when I log in as a Basecamp manager from the Pathways start page, this is where it's going to bring me. There's a couple of places that I can go in order to get tutorials and resources to learn about my role as a Basecamp manager. The first is this Manager Tutorials tile. If I select this, it's going to take me to a page that has 6 different topics on it. And these topics are all related to things that I do as a Basecamp manager. The first is an overview, and then, for example, completing levels. So when I click on each of these, I'm going to get a list of the tutorial videos that correspond with that topic. So as you can see, with level completions, there are 3 different tutorials that are available to me. There's an overview, and then there's instructions for responding to level completion requests on Basecamp, and then there's information about printing certificates for members who are completing paths on Basecamp. When you see that, you may think, what about members who are completing paths in print? That's when I would come here, and then I'm going to get a list of all of the tutorials that are related to paths in print. So this is a great place to come and get an overview of the role as a Basecamp manager. Again, these are video tutorials. These are not translated. However, there are tutorial quick reference guides for Basecamp managers that have been translated as well. To get the remaining Basecamp manager resources, you're going to want to come to the tutorials and resources page. This navigation should look familiar from the member page that you've seen. You're going to go ahead and select tutorials and resources, and when you get to this page, it's going to look basically the same as it does when you're logged in as a member, with one exception. Underneath the subject list here, you have an extra subject, Basecamp Manager. When you select that, you're going to get a list of everything that's available specific to Basecamp managers. If I select tutorials, I can then navigate to whether I want tutorial quick reference guides and tutorial videos. So the tutorial videos, we just looked at some of those from the previous page that we were on. They're also available here. The tutorial quick reference guides, similar to the reference guides that you may be familiar with, these are the same content as in the tutorial videos. So we see the first one here is called the External Training Dashboard. There's a tutorial video on the External Training Dashboard, but you can also get a quick reference guide here. It's the same content, however here it's in a PDF that's printable, downloadable, it has screenshots and written out text rather than voiceover. These have also been translated, so you can see there's a few language options on to the side here. Every language that we are translating into will be available here once the rollout is complete. You do see a few placeholder images in here. That is because we have...
Okay. Any questions on the resources? So there's a lot of little videos there, there's PDFs that you can download and you can read about the subject. Okay, so the next big task is going to be approving people's as they make progress through the system. So how do we do that? Where do we go about it?
Email address for other types of emails from World Headquarters that maybe the VPPR would need to be checking. So we recommend that you get an email address that all club officers can go ahead and access and check. And then the Vice President Education or whoever is completing the Basecamp manager roles would be the one looking for emails specifically from Basecamp. But it's up to your club and club officers how you would like to manage that. So what a level completion request is going to look like on Basecamp, and again, I got to this from the pending request button. We're going to come back here real quickly. So if I got an email as a Basecamp manager that said, Suzanne Mallory submitted a level completion request, it's waiting for you to approve it on Basecamp, I would log in as a Basecamp manager, and then I would come to the pending request page. And here I can see Suzanne Mallory submitted a level 3 completion request. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to confirm that Suzanne Mallory met all of the requirements for level 3. And if I need to look and see what's required in level 3, I can click on Suzanne Mallory's name here. And it's going to take me to her transcript. So as a Basecamp manager, you do have access to view member transcripts. And what I can do is I can open curriculum. I'm not able to open any of the projects in her path, but I am able to see what those projects are. And it looks like, so again, you can view what's going on in a member's level. We are in a test site, and I think that the path that she submitted a level completion for has been moved out of her transcript for some testing purposes. But you can see, for example, here, if I wanted to see what was required in level 1, I can look at the names of the projects. I can then go to the tutorials and resources page if I need to see what's required for those projects. And I can look at the project description to see what's required. So I can see every level in her path, no matter which level she's requested completion for. Every project in the level that she's requested completion for should have a check mark next to it. And once I've looked to see that she's completed all the requirements for those levels, I would come back to the home page, so that I could go back to pending requests and then approve her level completion. What you're going to do to approve a level completion is just select the green check mark there. You can type in a comment to say, great job, or if you have a question to the member about that, you can put it in there. And then you're just going to select submit. And we do recommend that Basecamp managers always include their initials, or their name. And the reason for that is because you do have 3 club officers who have access to go ahead and approve and verify completion requests. So ensuring that the Basecamp manager puts in their name or initials helps the member know which club officer actually gave that approval. And then once I have approved it, you can see that level completion request no longer shows up here. And Suzanne Maller is going to receive an email letting her know that I completed that or that I approved that request. The next type of request that might show up for me here is an
I'm going to stop it there because the approving external training is exactly the same process. Do we have any questions on approving? Yes, Eliza.
I want to know what exactly besides speeches, are we approving anything else?
Each of the levels and each of the pathways will have its own requirements. Everything starts off with the icebreaker, doing your going back and doing the speech again. All those 3 or 4 things are all same in all levels.
Do we have any role
Oh, sorry.
requirements that does the person have to be a postmaster and evaluate?
As you work through the project, some of those will require you to be a Toastmaster, etc. And then
So approving roles for tracking those roles.
Yes.
Plus
So when
speeches
when you went back and checked through the transcript, you can see, this was required. Yes, I know from Easy Speak or wherever. Yes, Suzanne did those things, so you can just tick it off. Yes.
In the existing or the past education,
Traditional education program.
people could be members of 1, 2, 3 clubs. They could do their speeches in different clubs, but they could be accredited to one club for their CC.
That's the same in pathway. You can be a member of multiple clubs. Once you've the procedure and the process for approving a level is not directly connected with who collects the DCB points. You can decide which club gets that. One club might need it more than another club, so you can decide on that. So approving a level is one thing, and getting the DCP points recognition for it is a separate issue.
So to follow up on that, do you need to submit in pathways and on the Toastmasters International site?
Yeah, the getting certified and getting approved recognition for that stays the same. You go through Leadership Central, the club business, and approved education programs, and you sign off on that. So that remains the same procedure. This is pathways, just approving as a person is moving through the different paths, those levels of paths.
How does this work with the Easy Speakers?
They're not directly connected,
Yeah.
so they are separate. So you do have to manage 2 systems.
Yeah.
So that might be reasons to have one person focus, somebody to help the VP to focus on
Yeah.
Easy Speak, and another one, the actual VP.
Because it actually put a lot more work for the VPE than in the past.
But that's why the secretary has also been given the authority to approve this. So bringing their level of involvement in the process that much higher.
Yeah.
David?
Kind of building on that hat, so in that example, they went into the members record and they had boxes where you ticked. How do those boxes, how are they populated? How does that?
Well, as you as a member, when you're working through your project, you'll have a number of things to do. So one, let's say the speech. Another one is to get it evaluated, do it again. Then once you in that level, you have to complete a questionnaire afterwards. How were you beforehand? What did you learn? Once you've ticked that off, you'll have a green tick. Yeah, you've completed that level.
So the member completes the questionnaire.
Yeah.
What's that question?
Yeah, so it's like a self-evaluation form in there. Anything else? Okay, let's move on to looking at how we track members' progress. There are lots of reasons why you might want to track somebody's progress. Just generally, as I say, being part of Toastmasters is about improving yourself, it's about doing things. DCP points is another aspect of a quality control mechanism. six of the DCP points are directly related to the education program. On the left-hand side, you have the traditional program, and on the right-hand side, you have the new pathways equivalent. Over the next 2 years, until June of 2020, you have a choice to select which 6 education targets that you go down. So you can have 2 CCs this year and 4 level 1s next year. So on and so forth. As you move down, you can have DTM this year and 1 level 5 next year. So you can program, you can plan ahead for your DCP program.
That have come into them. The last tile that's available here that I want to talk about is the member progress dashboard. So this is where you're able to get reports on what your members are working on and the progress in your club. So we're going to go ahead and click here to look and see what's available. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start here on the first one. So as you can see off the side here, there are 5 different types of dashboards available to you. The first is the individual progress dashboard, and this will allow Basecamp managers to review each individual member's progress through their path by level. So as we can see on this dashboard, I have several reports available to me. The first one shows members in progress on level 1. As I scroll down, I can see members in progress on level 2, level 3. So level 2 being blank indicates that no one in my club is currently working in level 2 of any path. If we look at the level 1, since there's quite a bit of data there, I'm able to see the title of each path that members are working in. So for example, I have members working in dynamic leadership. If I hover over this bar where it says user ID 2, that indicates that there are 2 members that are in level 1 of dynamic leadership. Effective coaching, there's a 1 there, so that's 1 member that is working in level 1 of effective coaching. Motivational strategies, 3 members in level 1. Now you may see this and go, well, that's great, but which members? How do I know who's working in level 1 of that path? There's a couple things I want to note. One, before we look at who those members are, I do want to make a note. Anytime you navigate to any of these dashboards, the first thing you're going to want to do is refresh. That's going to make sure that you're looking at the most recent data. So refreshing the dashboard is done by coming up here to options and then just selecting refresh. And you'll know that it's refreshing because you can see this spinning bar down here. And it will, when that's done, it will tell you exactly when it refreshed. These were actually recently refreshed, so I'm not going to sit and wait for that to refresh. I want to look at how you can find out details about which specific member is working, for example, in level 1 of dynamic leadership. To get more details on any report, you're going to hover over the box for that dashboard. You can see when I hover over this, there's an arrow that shows up right here, or a little carrot. I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to select View Details. And this is going to pull up information about that report. So it's going to give me more specifics than what I can see on that graph there. As soon as this loads, I'll be able to see. So at the top it has the graph, but then at the bottom here, you can see there's more information, including member names. So dynamic leadership, I can see these are the 2 members that are working in level 1 of dynamic leadership. Here are their names. This is the path that they're working in. And this is the status. One of them is in progress and one of them is registered. Registered is actually going to indicate that the member has not started anything yet. So they may have gotten their path and so they're working in level 1 because they haven't progressed past level 1, but they actually haven't launched anything yet. In progress is going to indicate to me that they're working in at least one of the projects in level 1. So this is where I'm able to get more information about exactly what members are working in level 1.
Okay, and I'm not going to go through the other 4 reports, which are all sort of cutting and slicing, dicing the information in different ways. You can do it at the club level, you can do it by path level, etc., etc. Any questions on generating dashboard reports? Okay. All right, Eliza.
Any tips working with the database. Any tips on how to be efficient and take your normal business week data, or say your meeting agenda, and you're supposed to come home and mark those and export the small form? How
You don't have to you don't have to verify the speeches and whatever is done. That that is the responsibility of the member. The member has to go through and say, I have completed this. Can you approve it? You don't have to have to go there and forensically examine it. You can if you wish, but that's that's not the aspect. And the other thing, how do you do it? On a weekly basis, just look at any pending, log in as Basecamp manager, see any pending requests come in. If they do, get them approved. The other thing, as Jesse mentioned, was that it's best to have one email address for all committee members. So, if the VPE is away on holiday or on business, you as the president can step in, or the secretary can step in and do that role. So have one email address that all three can monitor. Moise, I think you were about to say.
Yeah. Apart from the Basecamp management, so understand I've got to liaise, as president, liaise with both secretary and VPE. So, but that aside, I'm still a little sceptical that Pathways only provides stuff more which is work focused, because
that's a question for another day.
I know.
Sorry,
I'll be totally honest with you. I can't take to Pathways. It's not intuitive. It's really difficult to navigate. It doesn't flow at all.
Beyond my pay grade. Started off in 2010. I hadn't even thought about Toastmasters then.
Yeah. The thing is, where do we point new members to, brand new members, to navigate a system like that when it really is a struggle?
Well, there are many videos that you can use as to circulate to guests to teach them about Pathways. And as I said, my webinar, you can take excerpts, you can slice 2 minutes for a bit from there and use that for your marketing purposes. Sorry, yes.
I just wondered if anyone had any tips on communicating new members of those two systems. So, kind of previously, all members would say, "Oh, it's this speech," people would come up and people would be familiar with the progress. So I just wondered if anyone had any tips on.
Well, in your opening address as a president, you can say that the education system has been revamped, been brought up to date. You can do lots of things. You can tailor make it to your own requirements. You can pick and choose electives in level 4 and 5, etc., etc. So that's something to be built into your opening address, I think, and then carry that on during the course of the meeting. There was a couple of other hands. Yes.
Slightly different from the responsibility of the those who use Pathways tool. But with the change in education, do we know, so I'm a fairly new member myself, having completed my 6 speeches for the international contest, do we have any communication yet as how many speeches you need to complete with Pathways when I'm still choosing, deciding which one?
Yeah, the competition manual has been updated. I think you have to complete level 3. Level 3, qualify for the international speech contest. For the humorous and the tall tales, etc., you don't need any speech requirements.
What about judging?
It's similar with for the international speech contest, and you would have had to done some at the certain level, at the area level, you would have had to done level 3 or.
But the club level.
At the club level, no, you wouldn't.
Nothing.
Nothing. At the next level up.
And just on that, you can judge at other clubs at the club level, even if you're competing at your club.
So, and you don't have to have done a minimum number of speeches to judge at another club?
Okay, one final question and then I'm going to wrap up. No takers? Exhausted. Okay. I hope you found that useful. It was a very quick whistle-stop tour through Basecamp. We've learned who the Basecamp managers are. We've learned the basics of their role. We've walked through level pending request and looked at some of the resources and how to track members' progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tariq.
So we're going to now move on to the last big part of our session, which is the DCP point and moment of truth. As club officers, you're inclined to believe that your club is the best club in the world. Absolutely. Every single member, every single leader of their club